Alright, hey guys, what is up? It is Bibzuda back here once again on the Outlast Trials. And in this video, I am going to be kicking off my Outlast Trials Over-Explained series. And the goal of this series is to basically go through every single trial and completely over-explain everything I'm thinking, everything I'm doing, all of the niche tips for each and every single objective in that trial, everything you might want to know about how the objectives can spawn, and just basically give you a step-by-step guide on how to complete the trial itself. So this is the first time I'm doing this for any trials, so if you have any feedback, I would really appreciate it in the comments on how I can improve this system. But the reason I'm doing this is because I was planning on making a video about how each objective works in the game, just like a guide with every single objective in one video. And as I was trying to make that video, I realized that almost every single trial, even if they use similar objectives, has some small nuance or some small tweak to the objective that is important, and it wasn't really feasible to mention all those in one video. So I'm just going to be doing this version of it where I'll be over explaining every single trial, and I think I'm going to be combining every single trial on each map into the one video, because uploading one video for every trial would be a lot of videos and I don't want to spam people. So this first one, we're going to be covering the police station, which does have 7 trials on it, 1 main trial and 6 MKs. This will also hopefully give people a place to refer new players to if they're like, I cannot complete X trial, or do you have any tips for X trial? I'm not able to finish it, whatever. Hopefully this will give people somewhere to go to, or give those people to go to address those concerns. I'm going to be playing on the standard difficulty. If you are a brand new player, you can only play on introductory, but you unlock standard pretty soon after. If you're playing on a higher difficulty, the enemy locations and layouts will be different, but the strategies can generally remain the same. There'll just be maybe more enemies to deal with. I mean, if you're on intensive or psychosurgery, you probably don't need these kinds of videos necessarily, but maybe you'll watch them for some fun, or maybe you'll even learn a little something in there. I'm also going to not be using any loadout, just in case you're a brand new player, you don't have any rig or amps or anything. Wanted to have a quick little aside here before we actually jump in to kill the snitch, before I talk about loadout a little bit more. I'm not going to be using a loadout in any of these trials, but I figured it would be worth it to give a recommended loadout for pretty much every trial. And I'm going to just have a baseline best loadout that I would recommend for every trial. And then before the trial itself, I will say how you might want to tweak it if there's something better to bring on any given trial in particular. And this, of course, is just considering that you want to use the best possible loadout with the best meta, amps and rig, and you can use whatever you want. There's no mandatory things. Whatever you find fun, use that. Any rig, amp, whatever. This is just focusing on if you really want the best of the best and have the the strongest things going into the trial. So my standard recommended loadout, I'm going to move my camera briefly, is right here. Stun is, I think, inarguably the best rig in the game overall, but this is probably the part that can switch out the most importantly to blind for several trials, which I will call out. But for the default, stun is what I will have. Noise reduction I will have as the default for the tool amp, which is by far the best one in the game. It is not even close in my opinion, although some people might argue it. The level of stealth and the ease of escape that noise reduction brings you is unparalleled, and although there are other strong amps in this category, noise reduction simply can't be beat as far as the absolute best meta setup is concerned. However, again, these are things that we will switch up on a trial-specific basis. This is just the overall best for all trials. Skill amp, I would take Smash, although this is probably the one that's most interchangeable. If you don't mind not having Smash, then you can take Evasive Maneuver, just like on every trial. But there are certain trials where there's less doors that I might recommend Evasive over Smash and things like that. And then there's also some trials where there are co-op doors that you want to break that Smash is more important to have on. But again, the standard is going to be Smash for me. And then lastly, for medicine, my standard will be boosted. Although on main trials, this is less important because you can have the secret room Still, I think boosted is nice to have, potentially for getting the stamina booster, and then you don't even need to bother really with the secret room. And it's obviously best on MKs because you can't even get boosters in MKs normally. However, again, if you are someone who struggles to complete the trials and you need something to keep you safe, self-revive or last chance are definitely going to help you out there. And then incognito can also be taken on main trials if you want, because you can get the boosters elsewhere. So yeah, this one I probably won't change in any of the trials, but that general advice that I just gave applies to any trial for the most part. So I'll probably just have boosted as my, I won't alter this one in the recommendations. So yeah, that's it. Standard setup: stun, noise reduction, smash, boosted, and then we'll alter it from here. So for Kill the Snitch in particular, which we're heading into, I would highly recommend, if you want to complete the trial easily and get the finale done more quickly, is to take blind. Blind is extremely good for almost every single main trial. It's going to be your best choice. For Kill the Snitch in particular, you can watch any of my Kill the Snitch clears from any of the events of recent past, but blind basically makes the ending completely free. You can pull the entire lever while standing in your blind smoke, and enemies will not be able to hit you. So I would highly recommend taking blind on Kill the Snitch, and then the standard setup will treat you just fine, although you can again swap out the medicine if you want. I'll be doing a similar thing before every single trial in every video that is like this, but this is just going to be, it's not going to be this long. I'll basically just say, take the standard or swap out, noise reduction for backpack, and then just keep the standard. That'll be the gist. So yeah, hope this helps you guys out. I'm glad, I only thought of this after I was almost done with the video. So I think it was important to throw in here, and hopefully the recommendations will help you out if you are planning on bringing a loadout into the trials. See you guys at Kill the Snitch. I'm not going to be using any of those. I will have prescriptions, so you might be a little bit slower than me. You might not be able to run for as long, but you'll still have all the tools at your disposal. I won't be using any amps that make things easier for me or anything, or rig or anything like that. So that should hopefully help out in making an easy onboarding ramp. If you're a new player and you want to know what you should buy as you level up for your loadout, check out my loadout guide that I recently uploaded. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of this series of videos that I'm going to be doing. As long as it gets, as long as people are interested, please do, again, leave a like. Let me know if you're looking forward to the rest of these. I'll do one for every single map. Starting with the police station, we'll go in order: orphanage, fun park, courthouse, toy factory, docks, downtown, sewer or suburbs, shopping mall, and resort. By the time we get to the resort, there'll probably be like an MK or something on it. I don't know. These are going to probably take a while to make. I'm not going to do every single trial in one session, and these are going to be way longer than like a normal video of completing these trials would be, because I'm going to be over explaining everything that I can possibly think of to make sure it's as comprehensive as possible. So yeah, I think the only thing left to do now is jump into it. So we're going to be heading to Kill the Snitch, which is the very first main trial in the game. And it's important to note for this trial in particular, and only this trial, on introductory, the trial layout is actually altered quite significantly as of a recent update. So if you're doing this on introductory, you are only able to collect one key at a time, and certain paths and places I go may be blocked for you. It's meant to simplify it and make it easier, but I don't want to change to introductory just for that one trial. And yeah, so that's just, I guess, important to note that it does change the layout, but the objectives are the same. You just need to do them one at a time as opposed to getting all the keys at once or whatever like that. So, all right, enough of my yapping. Let's jump into the first trial for Outlast Trials, Over-Explained, Kill the Snitch. All right, we've arrived here at Kill the Snitch, and of course, being on standard, there aren't going to be any variators present on any of these trials, so it's just going to be sort of the base difficulty of the game, and no increased threat or any of that stuff. So we step out of the trial shuttle here, and we are here on Kill the Snitch at the police station. And you start off here outside the police station with the first objective being to infiltrate the police station. And as a new player, it can probably be a decent idea to look around outside for items or different things like that. Also, if you want to know what all the items do and kind of like a general beginner's onboarding guide to the game as a whole, you can check out my beginner's guide. I'm going to be kind of assuming that you know what items do for the most part. I'm not going to go into things like that. That is covered again in another video if that is where you're at and would like to get more information on that. Oh, you got to watch out for this crackhead. He can be anywhere. He can even be like right on the other side of this car at times. Your first time through this trial, you're likely to explore outside. There's this big, sort of, I don't even know what this is. It's like a diner. Yeah, it's like a little diner thing here. You can look around in for items, and then a lot of the time you'll end up going into the police station through that door over there. And for the most part, that's fine, although it does put you in a bit of a worse spot compared to the other entrance, which I will show in a sec. So you come in here and you'll see, I think this is the intended entrance for new players, because you see these TVs with Coil on them, and he is questioning the Snitch, as you can see. And then you get the objective completed of infiltrating the police station, and then the next objective you have is to reach the security room, which you can see is right here. Security room, it's right there, but the entrance is opposite side of the room from you. And so you go through here, and you are going to need to go around this area to reach there. As you can see, quick access to the security room is actually listed right here on this wall, which is pretty nice because this is a co-op jump for people to use. Most of the time, high-level players don't really bother with this, but it is a nice little thing. You know, there's quick access here. You can walk over. Of course, I'm in solo, so I can't do anything with it, but you can boost a teammate up and over that, and then there's a barred door right there that they can open to let your teammates in. So yeah, that's kind of seemingly the intended path, but if you are an experienced player or someone who wants to go a bit faster, I'll head back out just to show exactly where you go. But you basically will just start the trial, and we have a giant after us, but that's okay. You start the trial and you just run straight to this car, and you jump over the hood like this and up into this truck on your right. Jump for the Psychosis mine. Then you drop down here and into this window, and this is also, you're now inside the police station. So it's a bit of a quicker entry, and as you can see, that's the door we came out of. We're in this room, big room again, and it's, yeah, again, a little bit faster to get through. But you don't get the as clear direction on where to go, although security room is still listed right there, which is probably good enough. So yeah, now we're going to head around the area. This is the barred door you can enter if you had a teammate that boosted you or that got boosted over. Some bathrooms on the side here if you're interested in looting some stuff. Poster for the A+, of course. There's also a couple of side rooms and stuff here, but for the most part, you just want to get to that security room. We're gonna let this guy go by. We can sneak past him. Watch out for the glass, of course. And yeah, now we're here, and it's just a straight shot to the security room. Most of the time, you can just full-on sprint here, and the enemies won't be able to get you before you reach the security room. But you know, we were a little bit more careful to show things off. And again, it's a pretty linear path to get here. It's you're pretty funneled. There's not much exploration you can do to before getting to this point. And once you enter this little tube thing, you are now safe. And this is a safe area until you start the trial proper. Little fun fact, this actually used to be a permanent safe area which you could return to at any time, but at some point they patched it so that these tubes now lower into the floor, and they are not there anymore after the cutscene, so you can't abuse that. Sometimes there's items scattered around the security room, but main thing you need to do is wait for all your teammates to arrive and then smash the like button so we can get started with the next part of the trial. And this introduces our good friend Coil with his iconic lines. I'll let him take over. Yeah. So I mean, just iconic, truly. Introduces you to the main enemy of the map, being Leland Coil, the prime asset, and the main enemy. Now, he actually is not all that present on the trial. He's not like constantly present on the trial. He'll be in the upcoming basement section and then at the finale, but during what you would generally consider the main meat of the trial, where you're collecting the keys, he's actually not present. So that's just something to note. So now the next objective you have is to get to the Snitch in the cell block, which you know, that's where Coil was. You saw him on the TVs. Snitch is going to be in that little cell right there. And now that that cutscene is completed, this little door has opened, and it tells you that the holding cells are this way. So this is the way you have to go. There's a door here that says key, which is curious, but it's barred off right now, so you can't do it. And then going directly this way will lead you straight back to the entrance of the police station. Of course, this was also closed off but is now open. And you can say hello to your good friend the Snitch, who you're going to be spending some time with today. And basically the Snitch is in this chair, and it is attached to this track, and the main objective of the trial is to push the Snitch along the track to the very end, where you will then complete the execution. So that's what you want to do to start off here, is get pushing, and pushing the Snitch is very, very loud. And as you can see, I have enabled in my settings the sound levels around my crosshair, the noise indicator, and that's why I can see, like, when I walk, there's the level 1 sound around my crosshairs. Pushing the Snitch slowly is a pulsing level 3 sound, which is not quite as loud as pushing him while running, which is a full level 3 sound at all times. I was just demonstrating that, but after you push the Snitch just barely out of his cell, the lights will go out, and because Coil's not taking too kindly to you messing with his Snitch, so he turns off the power, and now your new objective is to start the generators in the basement, because the power in the building is out, the emergency generators turned on, so there's still lights. But yeah, you see this that says go to the underground parking, and good old Avalanos is helpfully telling you which way to go. So we need to head in this direction. You're not able to push the Snitch any further, and there's nothing else that's unlocked, so we have to head this way, and we need to go down into the basement. So underground parking is in this direction. And there's an interesting little thing here that is not really any relevant anymore, but you can lift this garage door up, which these garage doors are a pretty common thing to see on trials, and they take a different amount of time to lift up depending on if you are in a group or solo. Solo, it's pretty quick. The most important thing to know about these is they do make a decent amount of noise, and if there's an enemy on the other side, they can grab your legs and pull you under when the garage is fully lifted, and then that will obviously lead to you taking damage. But once you lift it up all the way, you can crouch underneath, and we'll be having to do that to get into the basement. But this is just a little random area. It's a very strange place. It's not really that useful in general. Before they added this in a patch, though, you were able to trap enemies in here, so they would be here for the entire trial. Sadly, that's no longer possible. That just leads to this barred off door that leads outside, and this is the normal entrance to the police station. So yeah, nothing too interesting there really, but just thought it's worth pointing out. And you might want to try, you could try using this to escape at the end of the trial if you so desire. But other than that, we need to head this way, and again, Avalanos will show us where to go. Down that way. Over there, there's basically literally nothing. Watch out for lurking crackheads. And here we have another garage to lift up, and this takes us into the basement in the underground parking area. And of course, our objective right now is to start the generators in the basement. And this is pretty much the first real objective that you'll encounter in pretty much the entire game outside of the tutorial. So the objective is to start a generator, and in order to start a generator, you have to locate it, first of all, but you also need to find a jerry can full of fuel and bring it to that generator to fuel it up. There's also panels on either side of the generator that you have to tinker with to enable you to actually start it up, and so there's quite a few little steps that you need to go through to complete this, but yeah, we're going to get through it together. Now, the basement isn't too big, but you can definitely get confused during your first playthrough of it. The most important thing to know about this section is that if you can look at rooms or at doors and look on the sides of them, like there or there will never be one here, so maybe not the best example, but there will be a sign on the door or next to the door of the room that the generator is in, if it is in a room. So this room, for example, could hold the generator, and there would be a sign there that's, what does it say? I don't even know what it exactly says. It says like generator or something, you know, something inside here. As you see here, we got this highlighted. This is our jerry can. There are multiple of these around in different locations, and you can find them, and but you only need one per generator. If you're in a group, you'll need to do more than one generator, but you only need one jerry can, and these are the first heavy objects that you'll encounter in a normal objective. And we have the picture here. I talk about the picture in my beginner's guide, so we won't talk about him too much, but we'd like to avoid him. But yeah, heavy objects basically make you move more slowly, and that's pretty much it. They are very, very encumbering if you don't have certain prescriptions. But yeah, that's basically it. You also can't use items while you're holding them, but you can easily drop them with right click or the equivalent controller button. So yeah, we're just gonna head through a little bit further. We still don't see any signs on the doors. There's a little back area there. He might actually throw a molly at me here, but okay, we're good. Ooh, I gotta bash this down to get through here. But yeah, basically you want to navigate the basement until you see a sign like this: danger, generator room. So we know the generator is in this room that's in front of us here. So I can walk in here, and as you see, the generator is immediately shown to me. If you're on higher difficulties, the intel is quite a lot less generous or non-existent and won't highlight things like that. But since we're on standard, we might get some help from the intel system. I'll grab this poster. So this is where our generator was, but like I said, it can be in many different locations. Any of those back rooms that it'll be in will have a highlighted, or will have a sign on the door, but it can also be in the main garage here. Like, it can be located right here in this corner. It can be over there. It can be right there. There's a couple places it can be in this main garage. And if it's in here, there won't be a sign anywhere that indicates that, so you need to keep an eye out while you're traversing this area to see if the generator is around. Coyle will be patrolling the basement here while you're working on this objective, so be aware of his location and don't get caught out by him if you can avoid it. He's being a bit sneaky. Of course, as you see here, there's another jerry can here, another one highlighted over there. There's plenty of jerry cans around, and you should be able to find one and bring it to your generator without too much trouble. Also a co-op door there. You can break through that if you have a teammate or the Smash amp. You can break through it solo with that, but it's usually not that big a deal because that's not a huge choke point or blocked off path. Cole's locking doors behind him. So yeah, I'm not gonna like go through the entire layout of every map, but you got a general gist of it. It's not the biggest area, and you should be able to reasonably navigate it. And again, mainly look for that sign on the back rooms, and then you just fill up the generator here. This is a very, very quiet action, and you're very unlikely to get heard while doing this unless you have some sort of don't make noise variator or variator that amplifies the sound you make. Same with these panels. Now these panels, how these work, there's you fuel up the generator, then there's panels on either side of it that need to be tinkered with. And basically you have these lights in the middle that show the number of attempts you have on flipping any of these switches. If you flip switches 4 times and you don't make all of them green, then it'll reset and you have to try again. And the way it basically works is one of the red switches will flip 2 switches at once, and there's no way of knowing which one it is, so you kind of have to do a guess and hope. So I usually will just quickly click them all and see what happens. So, okay, I got lucky, basically. I clicked this, and it flipped this one as well, meaning I have 3 more flips, and I can just do 1, 2, 3, and that completes that panel. You can get really quick at this. There's no real reason to go slowly. It's pretty much just luck if you hit the one that does both.
You have to believe.
Chill, man. It's pretty much luck if you hit the one that does both before hitting its counterpart. I'll show what I mean a little bit better here. So that one, no way he heard me. Wow. Again, very unlikely to get heard while doing the tinkering or the fuel pouring. It's the lowest level sound possible. So yeah, you're very unlikely to have that happen. Only if enemies are very close by will they hear that. Okay, let's get back to this. So I flipped that one, it did nothing. I flipped this one. Okay, it did 2 things again, but I'm just going to flip randomly to show you what happens. So say I started up here and I did this, and then I click this, you'll see it flipped that one back to red. So now I know that this is the one that I need to click to flip to, and then I just finish it off. So again, you get much quicker at that as you do it, and as you do it more, and it's not that difficult, so you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. Now the last thing to do is to crank the generator, and this is extremely loud. This is a level 3 maximum sound, and you have to do it, well, basically as many times as it takes to start the generator. You can look at it here. There's this bar of white, yellow, and green, and you have the thing on the far left is like a little bit of like a bluish black bar, and basically that will travel along the white bar and you have to click to crank when it is in the green zone. If you click while it's in the yellow zone, you'll still get progress towards starting it, but it'll be less. And if you click while it's in the white zone, you will lose progress. So you can see your progress right here on this little gauge. It takes 3 clicks in the green zone consecutively to start it. A click in the yellow zone is roughly worth half as much as the green zone. So if you get like 2 greens, a yellow, and then another yellow, that'll be enough to start it. If you at any point wait an extra amount of time or you miss one or something, then you might have to do more cranks, but it's pretty easy once you get it down. So we get on here, crank once. Okay. Now you can do it with a screamer distorting your vision, but that makes it quite a bit harder. You have to deal with that a lot on Cleanse the Orphans, to be honest. But yeah, as you can see, us cranking the generator attracted Coil's attention because it's so loud. So we want to hide and wait for him to leave if possible. And that should be enough time for us to crank the generator if we lock the door behind him here. So let's quickly do that. And again, so 1 on the green, 2, and then 3. And the generator is started. Our objective is completed. Now, of course, if you're in a group, there's multiple, but you don't have to worry about it. And now our next objective is to get back to the Snitch. So we're gonna have to basically retrace our steps, go back through the garage door, and meet up back with the Snitch again. So yeah, again, that is something that gets easier with time and is pretty easy to begin with. Cranking the generator, it's not that big a deal if you hit the yellows. It'll still make the same amount of noise, but as long as you don't miss the area completely and hit the white, you shouldn't have too much trouble starting the generator. So we're back here. We're going to open the garage. You got to be careful now because the area is all lit up. So Coil could easily spot you and try and stop you from opening this garage. You got to make sure he's not lurking around before you open that. Also, if you're on higher difficulties, there is a blind guy, a berserker in that area, and he's a pretty big threat. But since we're on standard, he does not show up. Again, watch out for crackheads in this hallway, but we're basically just, again, retracing these steps, going directly back to where the Snitch was, and as you can see, everything's all lit up again, the power's back on, and our next objective is going to be, again, to push the Snitch, so we're going to do that. And as I said, the sound is, it doesn't, you wouldn't think it's as big a difference as it is, but this level of sound is much, much quieter than this level of sound when you're sprint pushing. It is... The detection range of enemies is much lower if you are doing this. Although it's still a high detection range and the sound is high, they'll have a harder time hearing you. So once you hear this sound, that sound right there, you heard that little, that means that you've reached a checkpoint, which you can see on the track like this. And the way the Snitch works is if you leave him unattended for too long, he will slowly start rolling backwards. And I think that's actually indicated by... Okay, no, it's only indicated on like the politician and stuff, but we'll talk about that in other videos. He will start slowly rolling backwards, and he'll keep rolling backwards until he hits one of these checkpoints, basically. So you want to make sure, if you're gonna see, here he goes. He's slowly rolling backwards, but he will stop once he reaches this checkpoint here. Give him a sec. There he goes. So you want to make sure if you're going to be leaving him unattended for a while that you ideally get him to a checkpoint spot before you leave him. Now we have right here a key that we need, or a lock that we need to open, which will open this gate so we can continue. The track obviously goes under the gate. And this is introducing you to the keys and corpses mechanic with the TV indicator. So as you can see on this TV to our left, it says we need the heart key. And if you look in the top left corner where our objective is, it says open the gate, find the key. Clue is what? We don't know. Well, we do. It's a heart. In order to log that on your UI, you can look at it for a brief amount of time. As you can see, a little icon fills up, and now it says in the corner, clue, heart. That's not important for this because there's only one clue and one key and one corpse, but later that will be relevant. And obviously now this door that we saw earlier that says key is open, and we can open it, and inside is this corpse that has a heart on its chest. And this is how you identify which key is inside which corpse. So we will grab this now. Basically, you can also look at the corpse to identify its symbol, and that will show it on the UI when you're far away even. At least as long as you have intel. Higher difficulties doesn't have intel. but that lets you know where you've found different things. If you maybe if you don't know what key you need yet, but you found a corpse, you can log its symbol and then know where it is if you can come back. It also says, look on TVs, wrong symbol equals trap. So if you try to harvest from a corpse that is a symbol which you don't need a key for, you'll pull out an electrical shock device that will damage you, and we can show that later. So doing this takes some time. You can see it'll fill up. You can kind of see it already on the UI icon. The hold search corpse is a little mouse that icon that will fill up as you're holding it down and searching for the key. And this is another very quiet sound. It's very unlikely to be heard unless enemies are right next to you. So you can search it, and once that meter fills up, you will pull out the key. And as you can see on the bottom right, and on the screen it says BibZuda picked up key heart. Now in the bottom right, near my darkness indicator and above my inventory, it shows that I have the heart key. And we can go and open it up. And using a key is a very loud one-off sound, so you got to be aware of that. It will attract enemies. It's a level 3 pulsed sound. And this opens up the gate, and now the objective becomes pretty much the main thing for the rest of the trial. There's now 3 gates you have to open, and you have to push the snitch. Those are the 2 objectives you have right now. And obviously, one thing that you probably want to do as a new player is push the snitch as far as you can immediately, but you got to be careful because enemies are going to be around, and this is very loud, as I said. So we can push him a little bit now, and you can basically push him until you reach a gate if you want, or you can go and get all the keys first and then go back and open the gates and then push him further. This is kind of where you can do anything, do things in any order you want. Usually, I will just immediately go and get all the keys and then come back and push the snitch the entire way. But I'm gonna push him here just for demonstration. As I said, this is much more quiet, and if I can run now, there's nobody nearby. But we're gonna get another checkpoint here. There's the sound, and we're at the first gate. And there's, of course, several TVs around. I can look at any of those to log the clue on my UI. We need the I key for this gate. And this area is quite big. This is you now have access to this entire floor of the police station, including a small outdoor section. So you can easily get lost in here as a new player, and that's okay. You can get lost, but find your way back. One thing that's very helpful to know or watch out for is this track along the floor. That's where you're going to need to push the snitch, and if you follow the track, it'll either lead you back to the beginning of the trial or it'll lead you to a gate. So that can be helpful. And one thing that's nice to know is that each gate or each key can only be found in a certain area in comparison to the others. So basically, the entire map of the police station here is technically kind of divided, and we're just avoiding this guy, kind of divided into 3 sections, and each key can only be found in its respective section, basically. So we are not going to have to go to the other side of the map to find the eyeball key. That is not going to be required. It will be relatively close to the gate itself, not necessarily right nearby. It can be kind of far away, but it will be in this general vicinity. And you can kind of think of them. And honestly, maybe I'll try and put up a map of the police station on the screen right here and talk about the key spawns just to make it a little bit more clear. You can kind of think of it as a square. The whole police station is like a square, like this part of it, because this is one end of the square, then it goes that way, and then that way. And this part of it right here, the one that goes, that connects to sort of the bottom of the square, is not really a section, but then every other side of the square is one section. So gate 1 has this whole right side of the square of the police station as the section that you can possibly find the key. So you'll get these UI hints if you have available, or if you have intel available, that'll show you. That's basically a key corp. So we can go in this room and look at it. It's actually on the other side of this, but we can go look at it and see which key it is, and it's actually the I key, so it is what we need. And of course that applies the rule that I just mentioned, that is the fact that it is in this area, the key that we're getting for the first gate. But it could have been in any number of places. So there's again, I'm not going to just completely talk about the entire map layout. That's something you'll want to learn on your own. But you basically can look around and explore for the keys. Maybe you didn't get the key as early as I did. You can come over here into the sort of like call room or whatever. Keep moving through what this area is known as the administration block. There's a lot of co-op doors in this map, or not really a lot, but generally I would not recommend breaking the co-op doors in this map. They're not very useful and can maybe even mess you up by allowing enemies an easier access point to you. So we have a key corpse here, and this is Diamond, and because of the way key spawns work, I know for a fact that this is not going to be a key we need, because the second and third key cannot spawn here based on the map that I hopefully put on the screen. So we're going to search it, and I will show you what it looks like when you pull out or you search the wrong corpse. We pull out this device, and it shocks us, and we lose a bar of health. So, yeah, it's pretty easy to avoid that. Just don't search a corpse unless you know for a fact that you need the key. But important to know that that's a possibility. A couple little side rooms here. But yeah, this whole area can maybe have the key that the first door key. This whole side area with administration and everything. But now, as we head outside here, although the key could be right there, as we head outside here, we're moving on to the top branch of the square, if you can imagine it, as I've been describing it. And that means this is where we're going to find our second key. But we don't know what key we need for our second key yet. So we can head back to the center area of the station, and look at that. We found that police station, or that snitch track that I mentioned. And it leads us back to the first gate, but we're on the wrong side of it, so we can find a way around. Usually it's pretty easy to find a way around the gate. The gates are mainly there to block the snitch, so we can find our way around and get back to our snitch. This guy's in the way, so we'll come back to that later. We can go back and just figure out what key we need for our second key by following the track, and here we are at the second gate. And the key we need is the bunny key, so we can log that on our UI. And then we want to head to this top side of the map to search for it. Now, I should have highlighted it properly on the picture I put up, but these zones can overlap a little bit, meaning there's certain spots which could have either the first or the second key, but for the most part, they are distinctive. So this could be the one we need, and look at that, it is. The bunny key is right there. Get this guy out of here, and we can grab this for our second key. But this key could be anywhere in the outside area, basically. This is the entire outside zone that could possibly, like that could have been it, or the one over there that's highlighted. But I have no reason to go check what those corpses are at this point, because I know that the key cannot be, the third key that we need cannot be one of those. And this is a pretty advanced thing, I would say, to know. You're not going to necessarily need to use this on your first time, but I do want to give these niche tips that tell you special things about, the objectives and how they spawn that you can maybe apply later to later runs, or even notice on your first run. So now we can let's head back to the snitch track to find the third gate and find what key we need. So we know that the track goes through this gate, so we want to keep following it. So we're going to try and find our way around. We can quickly take a look at this, which is the club corpse. And this whole branch back here of like criminal records and the interrogation area and evidence area, that's basically the third branch. If we're looking back towards the left side branch of the square that I talked about earlier, and that is where we can find our third key. Now, this is a pretty straight shot to the last gate, and we need the fire key to open the final gate. So we're going to go looking for that over here in the evidence area, and see what we can find. So we have again, the UI hints are pretty helpful. Anywhere you see these question marks is going to be a key corpse, so you can go check, and any one of these could be the one that we need. Nice thing to talk about here briefly. You can find the secret room around. There's a bunch of different locations where the secret room can possibly spawn on every map. It only spawns on main trials. And maybe I'll make a video at some point showing every secret room location on every map. I don't know. But this is one of them for the police station. If you find this, you generally want to open it because it has some powerful items inside. And to open it, you need to hit the 2 buttons that that open the door. And there's one right there, and they're generally pretty close by to the secret room itself. The other one's probably going to be over here or something, or not. Yeah, here it is. If you're in a group, one person needs to hold down each button for it to open, but if you're solo, you can just go hit them both yourself. It'll open up. And you get some goodies inside. And again, if you want to know more about what these items exactly do, check out my beginner's guide. But we're going to just take them all the boosters. And we'll save the stamina booster for pushing the Snitch to make it easier for ourselves. But now back to our key hunt. We can basically just look around anywhere in this area for the fire key, and we found it immediately with this first one that we checked. But again, it could realistically be any of these key corpses that have question marks on them. Once you get the last key, all the question marks and all the symbols you've discovered will disappear. So they're gone now, and we don't know where they were, but there were other ones highlighted, like this one. We have star here. That is obviously not what we needed, but that could have been the fire key. This area also kind of somewhat overlaps with the outdoor top section of the square, so you could potentially find, like, I could have found the bunny key like in these interrogation rooms potentially, because the outdoor area is right there behind those that planked up door. But that is it. We now have all 3 of our keys, and our only objective left now is to open the gates and push the Snitch. So we're going to go back to the Snitch, and we're going to get working on that. So yeah, again, you might not be able to navigate the map as quickly as me. I have this map memorized 100 times over, so don't feel bad if you aren't as easily able to know where you're going. You'll get it down as time goes. So we are going to open the gate. I'm going to use my stamina booster to give me a speed boost and infinite stamina while I want to push the Snitch, because pushing the Snitch is pretty slow. This speeds it up. And you just push them along the track. Of course, every gate has a checkpoint thing, which will stop them from rolling back too far. But we're going to push them along. A lot of the time, you won't be bothered by enemies while pushing the Snitch, only at the beginning with that giant. But once you get past the giant and you're at the 2nd gate and this push straight to the 3rd gate, you generally won't get bothered by enemies. And we're here at the 3rd gate. And I highly recommend not opening the 3rd gate until you have the Snitch pushed to that location, because once you get the Snitch there and the gate is open, Coil will start to spawn in for the finale sequence, and you want to be able to set up and be prepared for that before you trigger it, basically. And this finale sequence is a great time to use something like the blind rig. The blind rig is very strong on this trial and all main trials, to be honest. You can use it to basically instantly complete the objective without any fear, and that's obviously very nice. And you know, you can watch my other completions of Kill the Snitch for that. We're going with no loadout here, so we will have a little bit of a harder time dealing with Coil and everyone that will be trying to stop us from doing this. Whereas the pitcher, I'm kind of just waiting for him to leave because he's a pain in the ass and has a range attack. Every main trial ends with a finale sequence, which is basically the time when you execute the victim of the trial, in this case being the Snitch. The way this one works is you're going to push the Snitch into basically an electrocution chamber, and there's 4 levers around the chamber. You need to pull one of those, and as you're holding it down, a bar will fill up and a percentage will increase. That once that's full, the Snitch will be electrocuted and die, and that is basically the end of the trial. However, doing that makes a lot of loud noise, and Coil will be nearby trying to stop you, so you need to be careful and prepared when you're doing this. So we're going to go ahead, open the gate, push the Snitch into the ending portion right here, and then we're going to get on one of these levers. So again, there's 4 levers. You can use any of them, or if you have teammates, they can use other ones. And as you see, the percentage is going up as we hold this down. Good to watch your back, see if anyone's coming up on you. And yeah, Coil is pretty slow on this difficulty. I'm not going to fully do it, although I probably could have finished it before he hit me. A lot of the time, again, you're going to have a rig here. You can use like stun or blind, and then use that time to electrocute the snitch, but one thing you could do if you don't have that is lure him around, lock the door, and then go jump on one of the levers. And this will give me more than enough time to finish him off. The number of people in the trial affects how long it takes to complete that electrocution objective. So since I'm solo, it's as fast as it possibly can be. And that is it. That is the final objective of the trial. Again, that will probably be a lot more drawn out and difficult on your first time through. I know exactly what I'm doing and when to, and just went and pulled the lever immediately. So it got done pretty quickly, but that's the final objective. And now all you have to do is return to the shuttle. So you can go back the way you came in any of the directions that way, or like I mentioned, you can use this garage door to get out. But we're going to go this way. We're going to take this path out the main door of the station right here, and we're back outside. And you just have to go back to the shuttle and hit the button. That will bring the shuttle back. It takes 10 seconds to arrive after you hit the button, but then you'll be home free. Coil will be out here trying to stop you, so be careful for him. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's Kill the Snitch. The original trial that was available in the closed beta of the game, and it's really not changed much since. Well, of course, going to bully Coil a little bit with our brick stockpile. How can you not? And then we're going to head out through the shuttle here. So that is it. Amazing trial, and it'll get much more difficult on the higher difficulties when there's a lot more enemies around and they're a lot more persistent, a lot more threatening. But that pretty much covers everything you need to know about Kill the Snitch. The niche and, honestly, one of the biggest time savers is knowing where the keys can spawn, because you won't waste your time scouring the entire police station for one key when you know it has to be in a certain area. And that can help you out a lot. So I would highly recommend learning where the keys can potentially spawn. But other than that, let me know if you have any issues with that trial. I can always help you out in the comments. And we're going to move on to the MK challenges for the police station right now. Alright, so next up here, we are going to be taking on the first MK challenge in the police station, which is Cancel the Autopsy. A pretty appropriate MK to be the first one you take on because it directly uses essentially the same main objective as what you were working on for the majority of Kill the Snitch, which is the key corpses. So we're going to select that and get ready to head in. However, it did just occur to me that I probably should indicate a loadout for people to use if they want to use a loadout. I'm obviously not using one, but it would be best to let people know how a loadout is best constructed for each trial that I talk about and go through it in that manner. So I should have added something before Kill the Snitch, but just to reiterate, my standard loadout would be, and this is if you're going for the best loadout that's like the strongest and has the most powerful things in it. Of course, you can use whatever you want and have fun with it and do whatever. I'm not using any loadout, so anything is pretty much better than nothing. So you'll be better off regardless, but stun is by far the best rig in terms of power. So my standard loadout would be stun. Noise reduction is by far the best tool amp. It is just incredibly broken, and you are way more stealthy with it. And can still go much faster. Smash is what I normally use. This is just my default loadout. And then depending on if I'm going in a main trial or an MK, I'll take boosted for MKs and incognito for the main trials for the most part. Although sometimes I'll still just take boosted for the main trials as well. In case I don't feel like looking for the secret room. Of course, if you're struggling at all, Last Chance and Self-Revive are going to be much better for you. And if you're not high enough level for any of these amps, then you can pick one of the lower tier ones. But most of the amps that I don't have permanently unlocked are not very good, and maybe you wouldn't want to use them. But this would be my generally standard setup. This is boosted down here. I know I'm covering it up, but stun, no reduction, smash, boosted, and then I'll go from there and modify that if needed. If there's no modifications needed, and that's like generally the best approach to the trial that we're going up into, I'll just say I will generally use my standard loadout. And that's the case for this upcoming trial here, which is Cancel the Autopsy. I would just stick with the standard loadout of stun, no reduction, smash, and boosted for this one. We're obviously not going to take anything, but we're going to head in, and I'll see you at Cancel the Autopsy. Alright, so as I mentioned before, the Cancel the Autopsy trial is essentially a very similar objective to Kill the Snitch's main objective. However, it takes place in a completely different area of the police station, one that you probably will not recognize very well from Kill the Snitch, although it is in the basement area. It's not using the same exact areas and is generally a bit different. It's using this gymnasium that we'll see, and this is a place that is used in a couple different trials, although the police station probably has some of the more varied map layouts compared to some other trials like docks, or sorry, maps like docks, which use a lot of the same stuff. But you're generally completely safe here at the beginning. There's a button that you have to go hit to actually start the trial, and until you hit that button you're usually pretty much fine. So you can loot these rooms, or I guess just this one room right here on your right, and this will usually have quite a few items. I mean, there's a ton of shelves in here, and so you can generally get quite a lot of stuff from here. Look out for throwables anywhere, and just sort of prepare yourself for the trial. And this just loops around. It's a pretty straightforward path that just leads you straight there. One thing to look out for before you start the trial is you can usually get one, sometimes even two posters before you even hit the button, which is pretty nice to get kick-started. And so we're here in the gymnasium, and you have to hit this button to get started. Here we have actually the second poster. Also, don't forget to smash the window. It is customary after all. And yeah, we're going to get started with it here. Basically, how it will work is we'll hit the button, and these garage doors on these different sectors will open up. They're labeled Sector A, B, and C. And the TVs nearby to those doors will be lit up, and they will show a symbol for the key that you need. And it's basically exactly the same as Kill the Snitch. You look at the TV, it tells you the symbol in the top left, and then you must search that sector for the corpse and pull the key out, and then bring the key back to this spot right here. Like, this will take the Sector A key, B, and C, and these bodies will go down and get ground to slurry, as Easterman says, and that will be the end of the trial. So yeah, it is pretty straightforward, one of the more straightforward trials. There's one small tip here at the beginning for Sector C. You can actually come over here and look at this blue barred door and look through it like this, and actually it is, like, a lot of the times there won't be a corpse there, but sometimes there is, and we can see it through here. So that is the diamond on its chest. So if we get the diamond as the key we need, then we'll know exactly where it is. So definitely check that, because once you hit this button, it still takes a little bit of time to actually start the trial. So you could hit the button and come over here and check. We have diamond, and then we can wait for the garage doors to raise. And hey, look at that. It actually paid off, and we got the diamond key as the one we need. So we can know where to go when we head to the Sector C. Then there's Club, and there's I. So yeah, you can take on the sectors in any order. Obviously, if you are in a group, it's better to divide and conquer for this sort of thing. Also important to note that you don't have to come back to the gymnasium to access a different sector. There's a few different ways to go between them. So we're going to start with Sector A, which needs the I key. And a lot of the time, on higher difficulties at least, there is the Berserker in this area. I don't know if he's here on standard, but we're trying to keep it quiet in case he is, and yes, indeed he is. And this trial, kind of similarly to how the Kill the Snitch key corpses work, you'll come to learn where they can be located as you play the trial more. So we have one here. That is the spade, which is not what we want. Also, if you're on standard or lower even, you will get a pretty decent amount of intel from it being, you know, the lower difficulty. The objective will show from further away. We have the pusher here. Just avoid him so we can grab this poster. But yeah, I mean, overall, this is a pretty simple trial. The hardest part about it is maybe getting a feel for the map layout, and also knowing that you can go between the sectors outside of the gym. We have the heart key here. Not what we're looking for. Thankfully, I actually do have a lockpick, so we can open this door. So that'll be good. There are some key locations that are, or corpse locations that are a bit sneaky, and you might have a hard time finding them, so I'll try to point a few of those out. I have the crown there. There can be one back here sometimes, but no luck on that. We've got 4 bricks in case anyone wants to mess with us. In this room, there can also be one right here, and there is, so we can grab that. Probably the one that people miss the most is in between the cars inside the garage right there, so that is good to know. This right here is one way to get to a different sector. You can always tell when you're going to a different sector because there will be a sign at the entrance, so that's a co-op door. Obviously, you can open that if you have the smash amp, but we can also go into these back hallways which are sort of the ways that this one long continuous hallway that links the sectors together. So we can go further into Sector A through that garage door over there, or since we are done with Sector A, we can go this way to get to Sector B, and Sector B is this way. The signage in this game is usually extremely helpful, so definitely be looking out for those. And they even have the key you need on the TVs in the back halls here, and this is what leads to Sector B, so now we are in Sector B here. And we can go out of the back halls into the sector, and it looks like we have the bunny key right here, no good. Coming this way can be a little bit more confusing on your first time through because you don't really know where you are in relation to the gym anymore too well. So if you want, you can go back after each key and maybe go back through the main entrance of each sector instead of using the back halls, but it's just a little speed up. It can help you out. Probably the hardest corpse locations for B, there can be one right here, which is the furthest forward one that exists. And then there's one over here on this staircase, like up here, which can be hard to see and some people don't notice, but it's not there this time. There can also be one right there that I find I miss more often than I should, really. Is there one in this room? I didn't check. There can be one like on one of these tables, or oops, I stepped on glass, in like a chair here or something. We didn't get very many key spawns in B sector. It's probably going to be in this room right here. Yes, we have our club. And yeah, see, I knew that just because I pretty much had checked all the other key locations that I know about, and I mostly know them all. So we can actually head into the back halls again through this little door and head to Sector C by following the signs, and we're already in it right here. And now we know actually where the key is, of course, because we have that little check we can do. So I'm going to navigate my way there. It's much easier to get there from the gym if you don't know where you're going. That will probably be the best way to start. Just gonna get past this guy. Running down this hallway, the gym is right there on our right. So if you enter from there, you can just go through here, do a bit of a U-turn, and come through this door, and that will lead you to the location where you can see through the barred door. And we can grab this key, and that's pretty much the trial. Hopefully we don't get seen by that grunt. So now all that's left to do is just put the keys into their slots, and that will end things. And here at the ending, what generally happens is Coil will come out of this gate over here. So what you can do to avoid him spotting you is just hide with these legs over here, right behind this little laundry cart thing, and he won't be able to see you immediately, and then you can sneak under the gate when it opens up like that, and then you can run to the button. So it's pretty easy to get out as long as you hide from Coil. On higher difficulties there will be a giant in this exit section as well, which can cause you trouble, but you can use this crawl space to pretty good effect if needed. And that's pretty much it for Cancel the Autopsy. Pretty simple trial overall. Got to bully Coil on the way out the door, of course. And yeah, that again, pretty easy and a nice building block on top of the Kill the Snitch objective, as it kind of introduces you well to what you might be up against in other MK challenges. So yeah, Cancel the Autopsy done. I will see you guys for the next MK on the police station. Next up here on the police station, we're going to be going into Sabotage the Lockdown, which is a bit of an infamous MK challenge at this point, since it is generally the quickest one to complete in the game, and so some players are known for only playing Sabotage the Lockdown and just grinding it to get XP, and you know, that is certainly a choice, but not one I would ever be interested in making. So we're going to check this one out. Sabotage the Lockdown is all based around one single generator, basically. At the start of the trial, you get a fuel can, and you must carry that through the basement area of the police station to a generator, which you then start and get out. So it is essentially very similar to the first main objective in Kill the Snitch, to start the generator, but it takes place in a little bit of a different area. It's essentially a slightly cut down version of the map we just played on Cancel the Autopsy. It has the back halls and all the sectors, but does not have the gym available or the hallway that led to the shuttle door. And there's a little outdoor section that you go to when you're escaping. Overall, I would say this one, you still just want to stick with the standard setup: stun, noise reduction, smash, and boosted. No real need to change things up, and you should have no trouble if you are using a loadout. Of course, again, that's just the meta if you want to use it. Otherwise, do whatever you want. We're going to head in to Sabotage the Lockdown right now. Alright, we're here at Sabotage the Lockdown, and as I mentioned, we are going to be fueling a single generator for this trial. This beginning is very similar to Cancel the Autopsy. You have a pretty safe and just free looting area. There's basically never going to be any threat here, so you can look around for throwables in the area around these cars, and in this little mini casino here. Usually you can find at least one poster, but it might be down the stairs instead, so we got our poster there. Again, feel free to loot around as you like. And you also have a nice little map here of the police station basement, which shows you where you are and where you need to get to, but it doesn't really help that much since any of these pathways can be easily blocked, and certain things like that right there, that entryway is a co-op door, so if you don't have Smash, you can't go through that way. But that's not clear on this map. And then also like this right here is a blue barred door, which needs to be opened from the yellow side only. There's many examples of things like this, and not to mention the fact that they could easily be blocked just by the random map generation. The green area is the gym, and as I said, that is blocked off from being accessible. You have the fuel right here that you need to carry, and you can head back. You can head straight to the generator. The sort of easiest way to do this trial, if you are struggling at all to find your way to the exit, is going through the back halls that we showcased in Cancel the Autopsy. That little garage door, like right now we're about to head down into A sector from the back. So the gym is right here. You can enter through there to get to A sector normally. We're heading in from the back side. So the garage door that leads to the back halls is right here. And you can then just follow the back halls all the way over to sector C, which you enter that room and then just head straight down to the generator. That can be pretty good if you are, just wanting to play it safe, but if you want to be most, as efficient as possible in terms of getting through there quickly, you want to take a more direct route, something along these lines of this line I'm tracing. But, we'll just see what the map allows us to do. Just head down here, open the door, and we are in A sector. And usually Coil will come out and bother you during this part, but for the most part, this trial is very easy. It's not going to be very difficult for you to make it to the generator. And once you're there, as long as you play it safe, you shouldn't have any issue either. We're not going to take the back halls. Again, if you want to keep it safe, then feel free. But going through this way is a bit quicker and generally better to learn as opposed to sticking to the back halls. As long as you are planning on doing this trial a lot in escalation or whatever, just heading through these areas is best. Thankfully this garage is open. Sometimes it'll be closed and you'll have to find your way around, but again, we're not really going too deeply into the RNG and potential map differences that you need to handle on these trials. It's just an overall approach on how to complete it generally. So we are nearly at the generator. There's a sign right there that is basically right next to it. Coil is going to be around. There's usually Coil and a Grunt in this area that you need to be careful of. And of course, starting the generator is loud. One thing that's nice to have available is this window, because you can just jump through it and you're in the dark and can sneak away. If that's not available, you might get stuck in that dead end with someone chasing you down there. So you want to have throwables, and if you're using a rig, that will help you out quite a bit. You can hopefully just get over here and fuel this up. And of course, this generator, same thing as Kill the Snitch in the basement. You fuel it up. Okay. Oil is bothering me. You fuel it up with the fuel that you brought from the beginning. Tinker with the panels on either side, and then pull the ripcord to complete it. If you want a more detailed breakdown of how all that works in, you check out the Kill the Snitch portion of this video. But yeah, so we're gonna just head over back to the generator now. Oh, we have the picture, really? Oh, everything's locked too. This is pretty bad luck here in the C sector where the generator is. But we should be able to hopefully get this done. Oh, is he gonna walk all the way over here, that bastard? The pitcher really is a menace to society these days, I swear. Gotta be careful with him, of course. He can throw Molotovs quite far and ruin your day. It looks like he did throw a Molotov. I was wondering why there was fire still. Maybe we can use this bottle to distract him. and go and start the generator. When you start the generator, this garage door will open up, and then there's a little spot you need to jump up to get to the outside again, and that's where the shuttle is. You don't go back to the original shuttle, which is the first trial that you don't do that on, so that's something that's important to note. So this opens up, we run through here, jump up this little thing, and now we just head over to the shuttle. This is just a straightforward path. Sometimes there'll be a giant out here, Coil will come out here. You can just hit the shuttle button and generally run around the area to avoid the enemies, if they even notice you at all. Like, we can just run through these, what even are these things supposed to be for? Just like to push up a line or something, and like he'll take time to jump over things, and then you can run around. It's a pretty safe area as long as you aren't too afraid of trying to manipulate the enemies a little bit. But yeah, that is important to note on this trial. It's actually the first one that is not one that you return to the shuttle you entered. So there's a second shuttle at the end. Oh, nice brick throw. But overall, again, very easy trial, and you can complete it very quickly once you get it down as far as the route is concerned to get to the generator. So yeah, that's Sabotage the Lockdown. I will see you for the next MK on the police station. Next up on the police station here, we are going to be taking on Eliminate the Past, which is actually my least favorite MK in the entire game currently. It has a very unique concept that is unfortunately not super well executed in how it's implemented, but could maybe be revisited in a future trial to make it more interesting. Basically, this trial comes with a time limit, which is, again, unique to the trial itself. You won't fail the trial if you don't complete the objective in the time limit, but the amount of the objective you complete makes the escape a little bit easier. So basically, it's in the same exact map as Cancel the Autopsy. You will have the entire basement layout, and you spawn in at the same place at the front of the gym. And then at the end, you have to escape pretty much the same way you escaped on Sabotage the Lockdown. So it's a kind of a combination of those two map layouts, and it is, again, interesting, but it's kind of an all or nothing thing. The more you do the objective, it doesn't really impact how difficult the escape is. I'll talk about it more since we will be searching for these boxes for a long time. We'll head into Eliminate the Past. Now, as far as loadout, I would still stick with the standard stun, nose darken, smash, boosted. For this one, there's no real reason to switch things up. Although, in all truth, if you are not worried about having your stun, if you think that you can do it without, X-ray is very helpful on this trial because finding these boxes can be quite difficult. Even for someone who's experienced like me, I still don't really know all of the box spawn locations. So X-ray can help you find those quite well. And it's important to find all of them if you are going to even look for them, because some people actually just AFK this trial and don't even bother looking for boxes. But it's important to find all of them because the payoff for finding every single one is pretty big, whereas the reason for, the payoff for finding all but one is not very big at all versus, any other amount. So yeah, anyway, X-ray is definitely a good choice on this trial if you are confident in avoiding enemies, but you can also stick with the standard. I'll see you guys at the trial. Alright, we are here at Eliminate the Past, and as I mentioned, we will be spawning at the same place as Cancel the Autopsy here in the little hallway that leads to the gymnasium. And again, in the exact same fashion as as Cancel the Autopsy, you are able to search these rooms and find items or anything. One item that's particularly useful on this trial is adrenaline, because you're going to be carrying a lot of heavy objects, and obviously adrenaline helps speed you up and maintain your stamina. As before, look for posters in the hallway as well, and in the little gymnasium after. And as you can see, the grinder is a little bit different looking this time around. Basically, you are going to need to be finding these boxes. This is exactly what they look like. They look the same as the evidence box secondary, or even the ones you might remember from the tutorial, or if you've done the mansion rebirth. And these lights basically indicate one box. There's 10 lights here, but you have one box already, so there's 9 total boxes you need to find. And you might think 3 in each sector, but that is unfortunately not the case. That would be nice if it was more consistent like that. But really, this trial is pretty much a total crapshoot. Now, if you are in solo, you will have 7 minutes to find as many boxes as possible, and each additional player takes off 1 minute from that time. So if you have a full group of 4, you have 4 minutes to find all the boxes. And yeah, that's basically it. It is enough time, certainly, especially if you know what you're doing, and especially if you have x-ray, you can usually get it done in time. But basically what happens is at the end of the trial, once you've run out of time or found all the boxes, you will have to hit this button, and then the game will determine the difficulty level of your escape. And unless you found every single box, you're going to be going out through Sector A right here, and you'll have to make your way all the way around through the sectors, maybe go into the back halls, all the way to Sector C, and escape through the same place we left in Sabotage the Lockdown. Now, that is not too difficult usually. Basically, the number of boxes you collect above zero, or above all of them, will remove enemies. It makes the trial a bit easier. Blurry It has a pretty old but very informative video on this trial that basically experiments with how big of an impact it is to get a certain number of boxes. So I'd recommend you check that out if you're curious, but for the most part, as long as you're using items, and even maybe if you have your rig like stun, you shouldn't have too much trouble escaping as long as you know the path. It's important to know the path because once you are evaluated and the escape starts, the shuttle actually arrives immediately, which is a unique thing for this trial. It takes place on a couple of the trials as well, but it's the first time you'll see it in this one, meaning you only have 3 minutes to get out, and that can be difficult if you don't know the route through the back halls and police station area here. So I'd recommend, looking at which paths are blocked while you're looking for the boxes, kind of make mental notes of things like that, and prepare to do the escape. If you do get all of the boxes, however, this is the garage shutter door that will open, and then you can just walk straight out, and there should be no enemies present when it's Sector C is the door that opens when you get all the boxes. So again, pretty high reward for getting them all, but if you don't get them all, you're always going to have to go through Sector A, and the number of enemies does change, but it's not that big of a deal usually. So, for that reason, because it is hard to get all the boxes, some people don't even bother looking and will just hide in a locker for 7 minutes. We're going to look for the boxes, obviously, see if we can find them all. You start the trial by grinding the first box, and then you head off searching. So I pretty much described the whole trial. I mean, basically, what I do is I kind of try and look around at spots I know can have a box. Like, I know there can be one right there, and also one directly on my right outside of here, like on that. And just see if I can find them quickly and then just bring them back. I mean, it's kind of just running around randomly, but I do know some box spawns that are, repeatable to check, but you basically want to just check every shelf and every possible surface that could have one for the most part. Bro, my microphone's mute button is really starting to go. It's kind of pissing me off. I haven't even found a single box yet, so we're struggling a bit. There could be one back here on any of these shelves. Here's one. So, yeah. I mean, they can pretty much be on any surface. They're not going to be on the floor like the evidence boxes are for the secondary objective of evidence, but they are going to be on something somewhere. So, yeah, 6 minutes left already is not very good. C is not looking too great. We're going to go check out B sector here. There can be some over in this area. I'm going to grab this adrenaline. Again, adrenaline, very good. We do have one right here, so that's an easy bring back. And yeah, there's a lot, and I mean a lot of places boxes can spawn. So learning every single box location, I mean, is certainly possible if you want to play this trial 100 times in a row. But it is going to be difficult, and you're mainly just going to want to try and run around and check places as you can. If you found a bunch of boxes in one sector, then maybe you can head to a different one, but it's not really deterministic like that. You're not really going to be able to say like, oh, I've found all the boxes in this sector, unless of course you've like scoured it completely and know that you've searched every room and every shelf. We've got 5 minutes left now. And yeah, that's basically, how you can think about it. There's not really going to be two boxes that spawn like right next to each other, so you can at least mostly rule that out. If you find a box, like I find this box in this room right here, I'm not going to come back to this room and look for another box in it, because that's just generally never going to happen, I don't think, or at least it would be very, very unlikely. There's a giant here. but we are good. So that's 3 we've found from B. There could still be one in the backside to the right of B, but I'm going to go look in A. We actually have one right here, so that is nice. And we have someone coming out of the EIG, so maybe we'll head back into B and try and check that one spot that I mentioned. Ooh, the pitcher. Door snap this. Oh, that's actually a bad... I shouldn't have done this. It's a bad path. This takes me way around. Takes forever. But there is one here, though. I'm gonna have to grab this, and there could still be one in that back area directly back there, to be honest. But we have found 4 in Sector B. So I'm gonna probably head to C again and try and go in the back areas of that. We have 3 boxes left, so we are making some decent time after a pretty bad start. I'm gonna head back into the shooting range here and look around. Always be on the lookout for items or I guess adrenaline are items, but anything that can help you out. Throwables, oh my god, bouncer. We can jump over here. They can be on like these little shooting range shelves. Looks like Sector C is a bit grief this time, it seems to... Okay, there's one right there. Can grab that. And it's important to not get discouraged by this gate being closed. It usually is, to be honest, and you can usually go around through that door right there, and you'll be pretty much fine. I am going to check these back rooms. Mama was right there, and she heard me running, so I just dropped the box, and we can come back for it. Check these back rooms. This is kind of annoying, but since we're in solo, the garage lift is pretty quick. Maybe there's a box in here. Oh, it was a waste of time. Can I get out? Okay, at least I got out. We can check this spot really quick. Nothing good so far. Oh, there is another one in the back of B. This is what I was talking about. I wasn't expecting there to be one there. So we only have 1 box left that we need to find. We still have to go grab the other one that we dropped. And that one is almost certainly going to be in Sector A. What is this guy doing? Why is a grunt just walking across the freaking gym? What the hell? I've never seen that before. They usually stay out of the gym unless they chase you into it. But regardless, we still have 1:40, so we made pretty good time on this. And again, we've only found 1 box in this sector, so I would be surprised if our last one weren't in here somewhere. So let's have a look. Maybe in the back. I mean, again, there's not really much benefit in thinking this way, as it could still be anywhere. But just the fact that, yeah, there it is. The fact that I haven't checked most of A, and I have checked a lot of the rest of the areas, makes me think that it's probably going to be in there. So we did manage to find all the boxes, and we are going to be able to take the kind of secret exit for finding them all. I'll drop that off here, but I need to step away briefly before I finish this trial. Alright, my apologies. We are back, and yeah, so like I said, once you either find all the boxes or run out of time, you need to... Carry on, sir. You need to regroup at this button and hit it to start the ending sequence. And it'll basically count down the number of lights you have left, and then say difficulty plus the number. And then, as I said, if you did not find all the boxes, this will open up, and you have to get out from here. Now, if you're really worried, for whatever reason, about being able to get out, you can run the route, like, right now, if you want. You can run the route right now if you want, and basically just run through here and make it all the way to Sector C. And where you need to go, again, is right where you left Sabotage the Lockdown. So straight down this hall is the exit right through there. So yeah, that's another reason why it's not that hard. Just make sure you know what's blocked off and what isn't, and you can make it there pretty easily. I'm going to showcase what happens now. All the garage doors will close, and it'll count it down. As you heard, difficulty 0 because we found all the boxes, and this will open up. This is the only case when Sector C will open up of Otherwise, you'll be heading out through Sector A. And as you see, the trial shuttle has arrived. We have 3 minutes to exit. And again, 3 minutes is plenty of time if you even remotely know where you're going. And of course, if we get all the boxes, it's completely free because there are no enemies. If you are on higher than 0, Coil will be out here somewhere. But as long as you make it here, it's completely, essentially free to leave. You can just hit him with a brick or the smallest stun you have, and because the door is already open, you don't have to wait for it. And so, yeah, that's Eliminate the Past. Again, the concept is interesting, but the execution falls a little flat in this case, I think. Time is a little bit high because I had to step away briefly there, but yeah, that is that trial completed, and yeah, it's interesting, definitely, and it can be fun to try and push yourself and get all the boxes and learn where they are. But once you do it a lot of times, you find that unless you're either an expert at it yourself or playing with people who are quite good at finding them, you a lot of the time will put in a lot of effort looking for boxes and then not find them all. And it's almost the same as if you didn't even look for them to begin with, I guess, is the main issue with that. But whatever, enough about that trial. I will see you guys at the next one. The next trial here on the police station is known as Release the Prisoners, and is quite a unique trial. There's a few trials in the game that are like this, but this is one of those. And the other one is actually Season Narcotics, which we'll get to later, or one of the other ones. But it's basically got multiple spawn locations, which is very interesting. And I quite like it because basically with this one, there are 4 different sectors you could spawn in. And if you're with 4 people, you'll each spawn in a different sector. So you start the trial separated, must complete your objective in your area. I mean, you can go to other people's areas if you want, but complete your objective and then all regroup at the end to finish the trial. So it's a pretty cool concept. I'm a big fan of how it works in that way, and we're going to jump into it. It is basically the main floor of the police station, the level that you do kill the majority of Kill the Snitch on. Some of it is not fully accessible, and importantly, there are a lot of co-op doors added, and it's much different to navigate, but the layout is the same, if that makes any sense. As for the loadout, you can pretty much just stick with the standard again: stun, reduction, smash, boosted. You can take X-ray if you really struggle to find the key, but it's not really worth it, I would say. And yeah, Release the Prisoners is pretty fun, and smash can be very useful on this one because you can use it to break the co-op doors, which every sector has a co-op door connecting it to another, and that lets you get between them more easily. This will be the first time you'll see the lever switches, so we'll talk about those as well, but I'll see you guys when we arrive at the trial. Alright, we've arrived here at Release the Prisoners, and basically when you step out, you will see which location you have arrived at. And in this case, we got Sector A. There are 4 sectors, A, B, C, and D, and each of them will always be in the same area, and it takes quite a few completions of this trial to learn which areas are accessible for which sectors and stuff, and also kind of how you must navigate to get out of your sector. So it can be a pretty confusing trial as far as the layout is concerned, and might require a bit of practice to get it down. And it is also one of the trials that is the most annoying to complete the secondary objective on, because if you're only focusing on completing your main objective, you'll only see about a quarter of the map, meaning you're unlikely to find all of the secondary objective items you need, whatever they may be, in this case posters. At the beginning here we can loot, although you're not really safe. The enemies come out immediately, especially on higher difficulties. Like an enemy would have come out immediately nearby me probably and started trying to find me. So this is the first MK that you don't really have a safe start and easy looting. It seems like we do here on standard, but don't count on that on later difficulties. And basically, you just need to search your area for the key. The key is on this little stand with a hook that has the key on it and the letter of your sector. It is sometimes very easy to miss, but since we are on standard, it should be highlighted if we get near it. This is the co-op door that leads to Sector B. Like I said, there is a co-op door between each sector and the others. So B, you can go through B, and then we might even be able to see it. Not quite. But if you went straight ahead, there would be another co-op door that leads to C, and you can get to the others that way. That can be useful for finding secondary objectives or reuniting early with your teammates if you're in a group. You know, if you have Smash, you can obviously break that solo. But we need to keep exploring our sector and look for the key. There is an enemy here. Again, it is pretty easy to overlook this thing, especially on psychosurgery when you don't have intel and it doesn't highlight for you. So make sure you keep a sharp eye out, and obviously it'll be easier once we show you what it looks like. But yeah. A lot of the time it can be difficult to navigate these areas. There will be padlocked doors and blocked paths that make it hard to get around if you don't know where the alternate routes are. So yeah, we're not going to show like every alternate route or anything for this specific trial, but it is one that you definitely want to learn the map on if you're going to be doing it quickly. Here is our key. Like I said, it's on this little stand, has an A on it or whatever letter, and then you just walk up and grab the key off of it. So it's not that hard to find, but again, especially in like cluttered rooms, these things can blend in. I mean, trust me, you'll learn that for yourself, I'm sure. But once you have your key, your main objective is to reach the security room from Kill the Snitch, if you remember where that is. Of course, again, this is the same map layout for the most part. There are some things that are blocked off, but this is like the bathrooms. At the start of Kill the Snitch, we got Sector A, which is more close to the start of the police station. We were in the call center area, which is like in admin. But right here, if we go out this window, this truck is the way you generally can come in to Kill the Snitch, and then we're in the police station now, you know, trying to make it easy to understand the areas. And this is the security room that we need to get to once again. Every single sector will have a gate that leads to the main area, which is sort of like the center hallway in the middle of the map of the police station. Every single gate or every single sector will have one of these gates, and it explains it pretty well here. You basically hold down the lever and it'll slowly charge up, and that will open the gate for 10 seconds. As you'll see here, we back off and there's a counter at the top that will count down. It'll close. If it closes, you have to do it again, but you can reset it just by tapping it. It'll reset all the way up to 10 as long as it hasn't closed yet. So that can be good to keep doing that if you have a teammate that needs to get through. We of course got spotted by Coil, which is annoying, but it prevents you from having to stand in the exposed area for a long time holding the lever the entire time to let someone in. So we are now in the main area, and since we were in Sector A, that is the closest gate to the security room. The security room is right here on my left, and you just have to put your key in. Since we are by ourselves, B, C, and D keys were not in the map and are already placed here. I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to quickly just showcase a little bit more of the map. This is the gate that leads to Sector B, and then the gates to Sector C and D are all the way down the other end of this hallway. So if you need to navigate to the other sectors to help your teammates or find the keys for them, these are the ways to get to them if you're not using the co-op doors. And then of course if you come from one of these sectors and you need to head back, you just go straight down this hallway. It's very straightforward once you're out of your sector, but getting your way to these gates again can be trickier than it might seem because the pathways can be blocked in confusing ways that can only, like sometimes there's only one little way that you can go that'll take you there, especially if you're on like blocked paths or unreliable doors variator. But that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple trial at the end of the day, and again, gets more objectives when you're in a group, but as a solo player, it's not too difficult to get your key and get out pretty quickly. You put the key in, these will open up, and then you just have to smash the button to begin the ending portion of the trial. You will see the prisoners that you've released get free, and then basically the exit point is the same one as on Kill the Snitch. You don't need to head back to the place you came in, like, you know, your sector entry point. That is not where you want to go. Of course, Coil will be out and about here at the ending, as he tends to be. But we can just scoot on by him, and we actually got all the posters, luckily. And yeah, you just run straight down this hallway. This area is not accessible otherwise until you hit the button. But importantly, right now, over this threshold, I just entered Sector D. So you are able to get to Sector D and Sector A from the center without going through their lever gates after you've hit the button to start the ending sequence. There's a gate here usually that opens up that lets you in there. That can be very helpful if you need to find more secondary objectives. And also this door, which leads to Sector A, is normally barred with red bars that you can't get through. But once you hit the button to start the ending, the red bars go away and you can go in. So we're out now outside the police station where you normally start and end Kill the Snitch, and we just run over to the shuttle, hit the button, and that'll be the end of it. So again, there are 4 different spawn points on this trial and 4 different sectors, so you'll have to do quite a few runs to get a good idea of each sector and everything like that. But it is a really fun trial. I like that about it a lot because whenever you go in, you don't know which sector you're going to get, and it's going to be different every time because of that. So it's pretty cool, and also fun to try and speedrun because of how quickly it is with just the one objective that you can sometimes find immediately. Next up, we'll be heading to one of my favorite MKs in the game, and probably the most confusing one on the police station, which is Teach the Police Officer. Okay, as I mentioned, we're going to be moving on now to Teach the Police Officer, and this trial is very unique as far as the police station is concerned. There's very interesting additional areas added to the police station, and this one is the only trial, aside from Kill the Snitch if you count the basement, but that one you can only access through that garage door. It's the only trial that actually has multiple levels of the police station that you use, and there's actually 3 levels. There's an entirely new top level that currently is only featured on this trial and no other, so it is a little bit strange that that's the case, but yeah, you will need to learn that layout a little bit. And it can be this trial is probably the most confusing map, or definitely the most confusing map on the police station. And I often get people saying they are confused when navigating it. So hopefully the way I run through it can give you guys a bit of an idea of how best to do things and potentially prevent yourself from getting lost. As far as loadout is concerned for this one, you can generally stick with the same standard setup, but if you would like to switch to X-ray, you can, because that lets you see through the doors. Basically, the way this trial works is you're looking for a reel that you need to swap out. It's a film reel that you need to swap out to basically complete the objective. And to find it, you are given keys at the start that you must then run around the police station and find the doors that those keys open, which will then give you more keys. And then you find the doors that those keys open, and you will find the film reel eventually. Now, the X-ray can let you see through the doors and show you where the film reel is, so you won't waste time going to doors that don't have the film reel behind it. So, yeah, that is can be pretty useful if you'd like to use X-ray. Again, X-ray has some niche uses, but stun is just so much stronger for keeping you safe and getting you in A+, so that can generally be considered better, I would say. Anyways, we're going to head there, and we'll talk about the trial once we arrive. Okay, we are here on Teach the Police Officer, and you're going to be coming out in an area that will be certainly unfamiliar, as it is unique to this trial, but you will be coming back to this spot to complete the trial, so that is worth noting. And at the start here, once again, you are pretty much safe. You can loot around and grab whatever you want. Careful for the crackhead, though. He might beat you over the head if you get too close to him. And then you head down this straight hallway, and there is a key right here that you need to grab to start the trial. Well, that doesn't actually start the trial, but you need the key to start it. And again, this area right here, although it is quite restricted and closed off, you can run around and loot things and look for posters and do whatever the heck you want. It's again, a pretty small area, but eventually you need to make your way to this room right here. And this is what basically this is what all of the key doors that you're going to look for are going to look like. They have this and they have the lock, but you won't be able to look at them and put them on your UI, but you will be able to look at them and ping them for your teammates as to where they are. Again, you can also loot things down here. There's sometimes a poster here, stuff like that. Also, there's a thing here on the wall, which is a map, the alleged map. It basically shows you how the trial works. It's really hard to see even in game, so I will do my best to show you how it works. Basically, it shows you this is the start of the trial, and at the start of the trial you get 1 key, and then you come to this room which says you are here, and you're going to get 2 keys from this room. Once you have those 2 keys, you need to go look for their spots in the police station that need those 2 keys to open them, and it's much easier to explain if we actually just have the keys. So we open this door with our first key. That gives us 2 keys, the moon key and the heart key. So once I go find the moon door and the heart door, each of those will have 2 more keys behind them. So you'll have a total of 7 keys in the trial. The first one in the tutorial, these 2, and then 4 more that are behind these 2 doors. The only way you can get the real is through one of the 4 doors that you open with the keys behind these 2 doors. It's complicated to say, but it makes sense when you think about it. Basically, we're going to grab this moon key. We're going to go find a door and open it. Inside there will be 2 more keys. If I go find the doors that those keys open, one of those 2 could have the real, but could also not have it because it could be with the keys that are behind the heart door. So I hope that makes sense. It is a little bit confusing, but that is how it works. So you know for a fact that opening the moon and heart doors will not have the film reel behind them. It'll have 2 more keys. Once you grab these keys and head out here, that's when the trial begins and enemies can start spawning in, so you gotta be careful. And yeah, again, this map is pretty big. It can be very confusing. Doing many trial runs will help you learn it, but normally there's a certain route that I run to make it a little bit easier for myself, which is running out right this way and then keeping an eye at all times for doors. So this is the star door. This could have the real behind it because it's not one of the 2 keys we already have. So if we go open the moon door and find the star key, that means that the star key could have the real. And we could use X-ray if we had it to see through this door and see if the real is there and help us save time later on once we have more keys, if that makes sense. I think it does. It's like, it is complicated compared to many other MKs, but once you know it and once you know, if you think about it a bit, it's not that difficult. And of course, again, this entire top floor that we're on right now, including down here in this orange area, is completely unique to this trial. So that is a pretty big departure from what you've seen before on this map and can make it a little bit confusing. But eventually we will link up to places you might recognize. Like if you look over this balcony right here, you can see down there is the call center dispatch room, which is in the admin section of Kill the Snitch. So I mean the map is really cool on this trial, and I really hope they revisit it in future MKs at some point. But currently this is the only one that has it. So I usually head all the way through this area and back up the other side because there's a door up here that can require a key, this one right here. You'll eventually pretty much learn all of the doors that can have keys applied to them or associated with them, so that can help you out a lot. But just to give you a bit of a frame of reference, that is that's the way we went, and that over there is the room where we got our keys. Anyway, I'm gonna head down these stairs now, and I usually just head straight to the basement from here because now if you look, we're on the main floor of the police station where you do release the prisoners, kill the snitch, and seize narcotics, which we haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, you might recognize this part right here. This is where you push the snitch. This is the second gate that you open, just to hopefully give people who have never seen these maps a bit of a better understanding. But we're going to continue down into the basement, and this is the area you might recognize. This is Sector B from the many trials that are in the basement here. We found the spade door, which we also don't have the key for. Yeah, this is Sector B, so this is a little bit familiar, but it's definitely a bit different of a layout. And you are going to have a bit of trouble navigating if you just try to navigate it just like those basement trials. One thing I forgot to mention, as this is the first time you'll see them, and I think only time unless you get the variator, there's these laser gates, and these are basically detector gates that will try and aim at you, and if they spot you, they will close. What are we doing? Why are you coming in there? What the hell? These gates will basically, as we can demonstrate here, it'll point at me, and if it points at me for a couple seconds, it will close the gate, and it will not leave you alone unless you go hide. Like if I go hide behind this pillar, it won't be able to see me, and after a couple of seconds, it'll stop and go up. So then we can sneak in, and so yeah. They're pretty simple, but that is how they work. They will sweep back and forth, and then if they get near you, they will lock onto you and close the gate that they're associated with. Something that a lot of people seem to not know is you can... Mama is a griefer. Something that a lot of people seem to not know is you can actually disable these very easily just by hitting them with a throwable. And that will temporarily disable them and open the gate if it was closed. So that's a pretty easy way to get past them if you're in a hurry and can't slow down because you're being chased and Mama's being crazy. So yeah, hope that makes some sense. Okay, please let me through. Finally, we found one of the doors that we need to open, which is the moon door. So we can come over here and open it. And as I said, there is guaranteed to be 2 keys back here. So we have the crown key and the spade key. And we know that the spade key is actually used right on the other side of that gate that we were just demonstrating about, because we saw that door. And whenever you're opening doors with the keys that you got from the, basically any key that can have the reel behind it, whenever you're opening the doors with those keys, you can listen for a sound, and if that sound plays, you know that the reel is in that room. So maybe we'll get lucky and get it on our first try here. It's a 25% chance to be in here. I'll be quiet so you can potentially hear the sound. Okay, we did not hear the sound there. That just made a normal door opening sound. So we know the reel isn't going to be in here. But if you don't listen for the sound, or you don't know what it is, or you don't hear it, if you come into the room and you see these heads on stands where keys would normally be, then you know the reel isn't in here. There's no point in looking around further. I call these the bupkis heads. Means you got bupkis in that room. There's no point in being in it. Oil. Did that go through his head? Might have. But yeah, so I usually go through the basement, and then since I found those keys, I did that. But there's an area right here where Mama's going that usually has some doors in it with key requirements, and there is one right there. The heart key. And the crown. So we actually have 2 here. So the heart door we know will have 2 more keys behind it. So we'll just open that, and that'll give us Star and Bunny. We know Star is upstairs. Bunny could be anywhere. Anywhere that we haven't been, at least. So crown could potentially have the reel behind it. Let's go ahead and listen up for the noise. It did not make the noise, so this one will have the bupkis heads as well. As we can see, they're back there, and there's no point in looking further in that room. So once I'm done in the basement, we've pretty much looked through the whole thing. I'll usually head up these stairs, and this will lead you to basically the first gate of Kill the Snitch, which is right here. Kind of a frame of reference for you. And then we can head into the admin area by going through these doors, and we can check the doors that are here. Now, the bunny key is used here. This one can also be a locked door, and these are kind of interesting because if you're in a group where you don't have these keys yet, you can actually use the eyeball tech, which is very useful, and basically you can look through the blinds and see if the reel is in there. So you can see right here, we can see the heads. We know the reel's not in there. There's no point in us opening it, but there's no point in us not opening it because we already have the key. But if we didn't have the key, there would have been no need for us to come over here because we knew that it wasn't open. It didn't have it. And same here, you can look through these blinds. This door is just normal, but it could be locked. So we've gotten pretty unlucky, actually. The final door that we haven't opened is the one that has our reel behind it. The only other place, I walked over mine, the only other places you'll need to check for doors are the cafeteria, which is right there, but it can be any one of the doors to the cafeteria, so this one, or that one. One easy way to have a pretty good idea if the cafeteria is one of the doors you need to open is if the doors are blocked by yellow bars. So whenever there's a room that has a key that needs to... Whenever there's a room that needs to be opened with a key, all other entrances to it will be blocked with yellow bars, like the completely blocked paths ones that you can never get through. So if you're walking near the cafeteria, or also this can be applied to the infirmary, then you won't need to, or you'll know that, hey, maybe that one is one of the ones I need because there's a yellow bar on it. That means one of the other doors might be the one with a locked key. One of the other places that can have many keys is in here in interrogation. This one could be one, or this one over there. And then we do the full loop where this screamer has pissed me off. Here's infirmary, which again can be one on any of its doors. We then do the full loop and come back around to this staircase where you can then see down into the gymnasium, where we've done several other trials on this video. Come up these stairs and we're back in the orange area. Again, You don't really have to follow this exact route. You could do whatever you want, but that helps me check all of the places and not get lost. I mean, I'm never going to get lost on this map nowadays, but when I first started, that helped me out. And definitely for new players who don't know the map, that could be a useful route. And we know, again, where the Stark door is, so we know that this is going to be the one that is the real, and so we can listen for, again, that sound that tells you. So you don't even, if you don't hear this sound, you don't even have to go in the room and look for the real. But here it is. It's that little, like, gong noise, the one that plays when you complete an objective. If you hear that, then you know the door you just opened has the real in it, although we already knew that because we had used all the other keys. So you grab the reel from in the room, and basically the goal now is to get back to the place where you picked up the first 2 keys, that room with the projector. You need to go there, swap the film reel out, and you'll be done with the trial. Thankfully, ours was very close by, but this could be all the way in the basement, and you have to navigate your way back up to here with the film reel. So it's a bit hit or miss. This trial is very RNG dependent. You could open 2 doors and get the reel, or you could, like me, have to open all 7. Or all 6, I guess. This one doesn't really count. But yeah, once you're back here, you just swap the film reel out by clicking it on the thing. It does make a loud noise, so be careful of that, but it's just 1 pulse. And then you run back up the stairs directly outside the room, back to where you entered the trial, and that is the end of it. Always bully the crackhead on the way out. You just have to. It's pretty much required. And hit the button. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's Teach Police Officer. So while the map and things like that can be very confusing, and so can the objective if you don't really know what to look for, it is relatively simple once you get it down, and it's especially helpful to know the way that the things work, you know, that you can only find the reel behind one of the 4 final keys and things like that. So hopefully those tips helped you out with this one. I think my best time on this with the group is like a minute 40 or something. You can get this one to be really fast if you get good luck. But it also can take forever if you get bad luck. So yeah, that's it for Teach. We just have one more trial for this video, and that is going to be Seize the Narcotics, which is actually the newest police station MK and came out in the most recent update with Season 5. So this one I don't know as much about, but it's a pretty simple trial, so we shouldn't have too much trouble going through it. Alright, lastly here on the police station, we are going to be going over Seize the Narcotics. As I said, the newest MK on the police station and recently released with Season 5. This one is basically on the exact same map layout as Release the Prisoners, and it also has the same mechanic of 4 different spawn locations. However, the switch gates are no longer present, but neither are the co-op doors. You aren't able to traverse between sectors. You have to go through the main hallway that connects them all that I showed in Release the Prisoners. That is the only way to get between the sectors in this one. And again, there are 4 spawn locations. You could be in A, B, C, or D, and they can again be weirdly blocked off and kind of difficult to navigate. And yeah, it's but if you've played Release the Prisoners a decent amount, that knowledge will transfer pretty well to this trial for sure. So we're going to be jumping into this one. Now, as far as loadout for this one is concerned, there's actually a really good case to bring backpack for this, because this trial relies heavily on the inventory, and you will save yourself a decent amount of time using backpack. I think regardless of difficulty, it saves you 1 extra trip. What you're basically doing on this one is going to the security room, picking up drug packets and bringing them back to the place you spawned in to stuff them into one of the mule objectives, which, you know, you'll see what that means if you haven't played the docs. But yeah, in solo you need 10 drug packets, meaning if you take backpack and have all your prescriptions, you'll have 5 inventory slots, so only need to do 2 trips. Since I'm going no loadout, we'll have to do 3 trips. If you're on psychosurgery, you only have 3 inventory slots, but you'll have 4 with backpack, meaning you can do 3 trips instead of 4 trips. So there you go. Sorry about that. That is basically how the trial, how the loadout can be. I mean, noise reduction is always going to be really strong, but backpack in this specific case can help you out quite a bit, so maybe you want to switch that up. Otherwise, sticking with smash and boosted is generally going to be the best. Same with the stun. Although blind is also good, but you know, stun is just the meta, strongest, whatever. I'll see you guys when we arrive at Seize the Narcotics. Alright, so we've arrived here at Season Narcotics, and once again we will be walking out into an unknown location. Let's see where it puts us this time. We are in Sector D. This one actually doesn't give you the label, so it can be a little bit annoying knowing exactly which one you're in, but if you're referring to them by the Release the Prisoners labels, this is Sector D. And there's a helpful little map right here that shows you where you need to get, but again, any of these paths and doorways can be blocked. And the only way to leave each sector, which are actually labeled on the map here, and so it maybe is a bit easier to tell than I thought, but the only way to leave your sector is through these specific locations that are given right here. So you need to be sure to get there. And you basically, as we see in the top left, need to find and stash the drugs in Section D. If you are in a group, then it'll be 7 drugs per section that you have. So yeah, and probably the worst part and most important thing to know if you're in a group is the security room, which is highlighted in red there and where we need to go to get the drugs. That place only has the exact number of drugs you need. At least as of the making of this video, that only has the exact number of drugs you need to complete the trial. So if you are in a group and someone takes more than they need and they don't know where to go, then things can kind of go south. So hopefully they update that, but regardless, just worth noting. And you're going to be stuffing the drugs into our friend the mule here. Yeah, I'm not going to dwell too much on that, but that is an objective that was first introduced with Poison the Medicine, Franco's first main trial on the docks. We'll be covering that in the future. Hey, look, the "You Are Here" sticker is on the back. That is funny. Anyway, we're going to get started. Now, the most interesting thing about this trial is it's the first time these gates are used on any trial by default, but this is a variator, so these have been seen before. It's these limited entry gates, basically. There'll be a bunch of these in each sector, and they have a number above them, which starts at 3, and each time you go through the gate, each time you cross the gate's threshold, which we'll do here, you could hear it tick down, and now it's at 2. And I'll just show what it does because I don't care about this gate too much. It's at 1 now. Once I cross one more time, the gate closes, and it will stay closed for the rest of the trial. Unless you have the jammer, which I've heard resets it to 3, but it's not really worth it usually to worry about the gates too much. It can be best just to like use them immediately and then close them all and then just learn the way that you need to go to get back without them afterwards, I think. But that's just my opinion. So yeah, we're in Sector D, but we need to get back to the security room, and this is another one of my numbered gates. Each one, they're in the same place every time in each sector, so you'll begin to learn where they'll be and what places you're eventually not going to be able to go. This is actually a dead end because of this closed gate. That garage door is always there. So we're just gonna, oh my god, what is this bad RNG? We got a padlocked door there. I thought I was gonna be able to go through that door, but it was padlocked. Oh wait, what? This is a gate right here. See, I'm still learning stuff on this trial, to be honest, but the general gist I gave is how it works and what you need to know. Do I need to open that padlocked door? I don't even know, but through this door will be the way to the main hallway. And yeah, Sector C is right there. Again, same layout, especially in this area as Release the Prisoners. Now, on standard, Coil won't be here yet, but once you get to the drugs, which are... oh, he is here. I guess he doesn't show up yet on introductory only. He didn't show up yet until when I was doing this trial for the first time. But, yeah, so Coil will be patrolling this area, just like on Release the Prisoners, so you gotta be watching out for him. You can hide behind this thing. It's pretty nice to wait for him to go by and then sneak in and get into here. So you do have to take multiple trips back and forth to your sector, so it makes it a little more difficult than Release the Prisoners because you have to confront Coil more than once. But once you're here at the security room, you just run in here. There's the box of drugs, and of course, each of these takes up 1 inventory slot. So you need an inventory slot for each of these. We need to bring back 10 of them. So since I only have 4 inventory slots, I'll need to come back here 3 times in total. So yeah, that is basically the shtick of this trial, as Coil's aura farming on us, waiting for his opportunity to chase. We'll just run around this desk to lose him and head straight back to our sector. Yeah, that's the general gist of this trial. So that's kind of the whole reason that the number switching, the limited entry gates exist at all, is because of the fact that you have to take multiple trips for this trial. And I'm curious. Okay, so this is the way we circumvent that gate. We just go through this door. Because basically, wherever there's a gate that's going to block your way, has to be a way to circumvent it. That's how the trial, otherwise the trial could be impossible if you go through the gate too many times. So just being able to learn as you go through your sector where you can go to get around the gates that are going to be in your way later on is good to know. And we're back here at our mule, and again, this does take kind of a long time, so you got to be careful if there's any enemies nearby. There usually will be at least one enemy that patrols in this area, but it might be a little bit less likely for them to come back here on standard or something. I don't know. But just keeping an ear out to hear if anybody spots you is probably your best bet. And that'll be us 4 out of 10 drugs done. And now, basically, I've shown the full process of the trial. It's just rinse and repeat. Although, again, we have this gate that we've gone through twice now, so I'll have to figure out a way around that. It's going to be pretty simple. We just have to go to this door here. And this route that I run right now, where I go through this door, it does not go through any of the limited entry gates, meaning we can reuse that route as much as we want to get back and forth and get all of the drugs. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a pretty divisive trial. Some people really hate it, some people like it. I don't mind it personally. I think one of the kind of good and bad things about the police station is most of the trials can be done very quickly. This one kind of bucks that trend a little bit by requiring multiple trips and some careful route planning to avoid the limited entry gates. So that's kind of cool, and it's also a trial that utilizes the inventory, which is otherwise unused on any other police station MK. So that's a cool thing for them to include here, because having to manage carrying drugs or carrying useful items is also an important decision. Are you going to just take a full batch of drugs in your inventory and forego any potential items just to get the trial done more quickly, or are you going to take more trips but keep some safety with you at all times? Things like that. So that makes it an interesting trial in terms of player decision making and ways you can personally speed it up. And it also, of course, is highly affected by different things you can do with your loadout, like bringing backpack to make it more easy, and variators like limited inventory or psychosurgery that remove inventory slots, making it quite a bit more difficult. So overall, I think it's a pretty good trial, and I enjoy it. It's just a little bit I find it a little bit annoying how slow it is to just stash them all once you even bring them here, but that also is just the way it is, because that can expose you to enemies again who might be patrolling the area, so it makes some sense. But anyways, as far as any other thoughts or considerations, again, this is of course a split spawn trial, so you can spawn into any one of the 4 sectors, and you will obviously have to deal with that when it happens. So knowing which one, or knowing all the sectors, will help you out obviously a lot in the long run, but will take a while to learn. But again, if you have done release the prisoners a decent amount, that should directly transfer, since this is the same layout, just lacking the co-op doors that link the sectors and the gates that you use to get out of them. So yeah, we're gonna get over here and get our last 2 drugs once Coil, he did spot me briefly, but he's kind of just taking forever, so I'm just gonna bait him around this pillar or something. He does like to stand there and think about chasing you for a little bit before doing it. Pitcher could be in here and just completely ruin things, but I hope he left by now. So we can just run over here and grab our last 2 drug packets. As I said, only exactly as many as you need. How did Coil not chase me into here? I don't know. But once we complete the objective here, we need to return to this button and press it. And strangely, this trial has the same mechanic as Eliminate the Past, where once we hit that button, the shuttle will immediately arrive. However, the escape route is exactly the same as on Release the Prisoners. So you just have to run out to the shuttle that is the starting point of Kill the Snitch. And there's, you might run into Coil, maybe a giant out there, but you have 3 minutes to get out, and there's never going to be any issue in getting out. So I really don't know why this trial incorporates that. It basically makes the trial easier because you don't have to hit the button and wait and potentially get caught out by anybody who was chasing you down there. But either way, that is the trial completed, Season Narcotics. And yeah, nothing really to note about spawn patterns or anything like that because it's pretty straightforward. The drugs are always in the same place. You just have to be aware of routes to get around the limited entry gates and potentially, you know, any blocked paths that might be also in the trial. So yeah, we did get our last poster here, so we are good to go. And we just need to head back and hit that button and get out of here. So yeah, for the most part, the only real trial with the exit, you know, the exit immediately opening mechanic that has a big impact is Deface the Futtermans, because, which we'll be going over on the fun park, of course, because that trial actually has an objective that you have to complete during the countdown of the shuttle being here, so that can actually have an impact. But even on Eliminate the Past, if you get the Sector A exit, you're not going to have much trouble getting out, at least once you've done it a few times. And on this trial, it's even more so. You can just walk out, it's completely free, so a little bit strange, but yeah, that is basically the police station, over-explained, hopefully to a sufficient degree to help anybody who is maybe even completely new complete any of these trials for their first time, if that is their goal. I'm going to kick it over to one final clip where I'll just wrap up the video, and we'll talk about what's coming next. So with that, we have fully covered every trial in the police station with standard difficulty, of course. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, if you're on higher difficulties or as you're pushing into higher difficulties, you'll have to be prepared for more enemies in different locations, but hopefully this gives you a good baseline for this map to, you know, maybe get further than you would have otherwise, or, you know, if there was something you were struggling with, hopefully this helped. And of course, if there's anything that I missed that you think would have gone well in this video, then let me know in the comments. I'll try to consider any feedback in the future maps that I'm going to also be covering. As far as what I'm going to do when these maps get more MKs, for the police station at least, I can't see that happening for at least, I don't even know, maybe up to a year minimum, considering there's 10 maps now, and the police station just got an MK, and it's one of the maps with the most MKs. I just can't see it getting another one too soon, but maybe I'm wrong. Again, I don't really know what I'll do when they get added. Maybe I'll do just one-off videos for every one that gets added that goes through it and over-explaining it. Maybe I'll redo this video at that point because there will be more things for the other trials that I've learned after more experience. I have no idea. Whatever, it doesn't really matter at this moment in time because this is the video that we have. And yeah, I hope it helped you guys out, though. Do let me know again in the comments your feedback or thoughts. And yeah, of course, going forward, I'm going to continue this series in order. The next map we have is the Orphanage, which only has 4 MKs compared to the police station's 6. So it will be a little bit simpler to go through. But the MKs on here get a little bit more complicated, especially with like Reunite the Family. It can be very confusing for new players. And then we'll go through them, you know, again, in order. So Fun Park will be after that, which has some pretty confusing ones as well. And then, you know, we'll get into the Franco ones, which I know a lot of people maybe can struggle with. And from there, you know, whatever. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will probably be Winter Kills Part 2. If I get this out when I hope to, which is on Monday night, then Winter Kills Part 2 will start tomorrow morning. I'll cover that. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to be uploading that, but that will be the next video after this one probably. And then after that, I will probably try to get out my scripted video that I've been working on. And then maybe we'll go back to this for the Fun Park or something, or sorry, the Orphanage or something like that. So that's the plan right now. Hope you guys are having an enjoyable holiday season. I'll be streaming on Twitch tomorrow night as well. Tuesday nights I usually stream, guaranteed, and then other nights throughout the week randomly. So yeah, that's the plan. Links in my description to join me on my Discord or follow me on Twitch if you're interested. See you guys next video. Peace out.